Hey guys, welcome to Cape and Cowl Cafe. I'm Nemo, and today we're going to be ranking the Batman voice actors from worst to best. If you guys enjoy the video at any point today, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like and subscribe button, but let's hop right in. Now, not every single voice actor who has played Batman will be on this list because there are a lot. There's also a lot of obscure ones, but I've picked most of the major ones, so let's get started. Alright, starting off the list in last place, at number 17, we have Brian Stivale. He voiced Batman in Batman Soul Hunters, which I'm guessing is some kind of mobile game. Now, this guy technically does have a Batman sounding voice, I guess, but it also feels like he's just trying too hard, you know? And I always say, if you have to try super hard to sound like Batman, you're not really Batman.
I am justice. I am the night. I am Batman.
No, you ain't!
Alright, next up at number 16, we have Ron Perlman, who is more famous as Hellboy, but he's also played Slade in Teen Titans. He was Clayface in Batman the Animated Series. He was Orion in Justice League Unlimited, Sinestro in Green Lantern the Animated Series, and Killer Croc in The Batman. Now, while Mr. Perlman does have a nice, deep voice, I feel like it's too smooth sounding to play Batman. He sounds really good as Deathstroke or Slade in Teen Titans, very intimidating and menacing, but it doesn't have that gruff, you know, kind of texture to it that we really need for Batman. And I mean, he did voice Batman in Justice League Heroes, which was a game I played on the PS2 as a kid, and listening to his Batman voice is just a little off, you know? He makes Batman sound like he's trying to be kind of proper sounding. I don't know if that makes sense. He's not the worst one, but he's just okay.
This isn't the Watchtower.
No, it isn't. It's an emergency bunker 12 miles away. Part of my contingency plans.
Alright, next up at number 15, we have Peter Weller, who played Batman in the Dark Knight Returns animated movies. Now, I do think that these are pretty good movies. They're, you know, wonderful adaptations of the book. I'm not a huge fan of that story, but Peter Weller does a decent job as Batman. The only thing is, I feel like sometimes he just sounds like an ordinary old guy. Like, I know Batman is old in this story, but he doesn't really have that, you know, that Batman quality to his voice. It's more old man than Batman, if that makes sense.
I love the young people.
I'm kind of finding it difficult to judge voice actors, you know, the same way that I do like costumes on a tier list, because with a picture I can point out and be like, oh, I don't like this and I don't like that. Oh, but I do like that. But with voice actors, I'm kind of just being like, oh, sounds good. You know, it's kind of hard to describe what's good and bad about all of these different performances. Just, you kind of just have to know, you know if it's good or if it's bad. And Peter Weller is just okay.
I wanted to remind you to stay out of my way. In all the years to come, in your most private moments, I want you to remember the one man who beat you.
Alright, next up at number 14, we have Anthony Ruvivar. He played Batman in the short-lived animated show Beware the Batman. Now, I feel like when it comes to this guy's Batman voice, he only has one setting. Like, he sounds monotone at all times. It doesn't really feel like there's a ton of variety or, like, dynamics between, you know, different emotions that Batman would have. He kind of plays it the same all the time. It's just a low, tough guy voice. That's all it is. You know, it's really nothing special, but it's not terrible, so yeah.
Enough.
Whose side are you on here?
The side of sanity. You're both out of control. It's time to put an end to this.
Alright, next up at number 13, we have Ben McKenzie, who is most famous for his role as Jim Gordon in the Gotham TV show, but he voiced Batman in Batman Year One. Now, this guy sounds exactly how I feel like you should describe it. He sounds like a voice actor, you know? He sounds like a guy doing a Batman impression. He doesn't really sound like Batman, you know? He's trying a little too hard. His voice is a little too high-pitched to be a convincing Batman, and you know what I'm gonna say? If you have to try too hard to sound like Batman, you're not Batman. Now, I feel like this guy really lacks the gravitas that, you know, Batman needs with his voice. He should be quiet most of the time, but he should still be able to have a demanding presence and, you know, take control of a room. This guy, he's just whispering all the time. Like, every single line is whispered, I swear. It's kind of weird.
Ladies, gentlemen, you've eaten well. You've eaten Gotham's wealth, its spirit, but your feast is nearly over. From this moment on, none of you are safe.
Alright, next up at number 12, we have Michael Ironside, who is actually more famous for his role in the DCAU as Darkseid, but he voiced Batman in an alternate future episode of TNBA as the Dark Knight Returns Batman. Now, there's nothing wrong with his Batman voice, it's just a really low, intimidating voice. Like, it's good for Batman, but I just can't help but hear Darkseid when I hear it, so it's kind of hard for me to separate those two performances and, you know, judge this as its own thing. I just hear Batman as Darkseid, you know, it's kind of weird. And I mean, if you think about it, it really makes sense that they would pick this guy to play this alternate version of Batman for like a few lines. Like, he was playing Darkseid in the other show Across the Lot, so they were just like, hey, come voice a few lines for Batman. It makes sense. Now, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing this guy voice Batman again, but he only really works for an old Batman, would not work for a young one. So he could be a really good older Bruce Wayne in another Batman Beyond project. You know, if they did some kind of video game or another animated show or a movie or something, this might be a good guy to pick. But again, for the most part, I mostly just hear Darkseid.
You don't get it, son. This isn't a trash heap. It's an operating table. And I'm the surgeon.
All right, next up at number 11, we have Troy Baker, who is one of the most famous voice actors of all time. He's in everything, and he's played pretty much everybody. Like, he's also been Two-Face, he's been Joker, but he's also been Batman. He voiced Batman in the Telltale games, a few Lego projects, and probably a bunch of other stuff. I don't know, but I know that a lot of people like this guy as Batman a lot, but he's just not my favorite. I don't really like him as Batman that much. I feel like his voice would be way better suited for a character like Jason Todd, and in the Telltale series, we barely get to see him, you know, actually use his voice acting chops as Batman. He plays a wonderful Bruce Wayne, but whenever he's Batman, he has a voice modulator on. Like we don't really get to see him spread his voice acting wings, I guess. And yes, I know that he does get to use his actual Batman voice in like the Lego projects and stuff like that, but I feel like it's a waste to use him on Batman when he makes a way better Joker. His performance in Arkham Origins was absolutely insane. Why would you waste that and make this guy Batman? Like, yeah, I know he's a good voice actor. He plays basically every single video game protagonist you can name, but he's just not the right pick for Batman, in my opinion. Might be a hot take, but whatever.
I don't know Shredder and I don't know the Foot. Leonardo and his brothers are important assets, but you'll have to follow orders. This is still my city.
All right, next up at number 10, we have William Baldwin, who voiced Batman in Justice League Crisis on Two Earths. Now, while this guy is just kind of doing the old man Batman voice, I feel like he does it way better than Peter Weller from The Dark Knight Returns, because there's like a way wider dynamic range in his voice acting here. And plus, he delivers some of the coldest lines that we've ever heard from Batman.
There is a difference between you and me. Both looked into the abyss. But when it looked back at us, you blinked.
All right, so while I was recording, I totally forgot about this guy, so we're going to make him the new number 10. We're just going to push everyone back a little bit. At number 10, we have Jensen Ackles, who voiced Batman in the Long Halloween animated movies. Now, Jensen Ackles kind of suffers from the same issue as Ben McKenzie, where it sounds like he's a voice actor trying to do a Batman impression. He doesn't exactly sound like Batman, but he's doing a way better job than Ben McKenzie. Like, he still has a very intimidating, gruff, low Batman voice, but he sounds inexperienced, which I guess makes sense for this kind of movie because this is a year 2 Batman. But again, like with Troy Baker, I feel like Jensen Ackles is way better suited for another character. He played Jason Todd Red Hood in the Under the Red Hood movie, and he did an amazing job, and I feel like he's way better for that role. But as Batman, it's not bad.
Transmat me aboard immediately. Start moving all available operatives to Earth 1 Tower as quickly as possible.
It's bad.
Bad enough.
All right, next up at number 9, we have Adam West, and I mean, it's Adam West. Do I really have to say anything else? Super iconic voice, widely recognizable. He's just Batman, okay? And anytime I'm reading anything that has to do with Silver Age Batman comics, his voice is the one that I, kind of hear in my head.
Come on, Robin. There's a bad moon on the rise. To the Batmobile.
All right, next up at number 8, we have Will Arnett, who voiced Batman in the Lego Batman movie. Now, I know that his voice performance was mostly silly. He's cracking jokes. He plays a silly Batman. However, I mean, if you just listen to the guy, you could tell that if he played a serious Batman in like some kind of serious comic book adaptation, he would do a damn good job, you know? I would love to see Will Arnett voice Batman more. Like, that would just be so nice. Like, he could be one of the greats if he was able to actually show us a serious Batman performance. Now, I'm not saying all this to trash the Lego movie, but it kind of does feel like a waste of a really good voice actor to only have him work on a Lego project. If anything, he should have been the voice for Batman in the new Lego Batman game. You know, I am not a fan of whoever they chose for the new game. He does not sound like Batman. They should have just got this guy instead.
I don't talk about feelings, Alfred. I don't have any. I've never seen one. I'm a night-stalking, crime-fighting vigilante and a heavy metal rapping machine.
Okay, next up at number 7, we have Diedrich Bader, who played Batman in the Brave and the Bold TV show. And just like the last pick, this is a more campy, kind of goofy, lighthearted Batman who's cracking jokes. But for this interpretation, it works. And the voice actor does an incredible job, okay? Diedrich is an amazing Batman. I feel like this is a guy who should also play Batman a lot more. I know his voice is tied to this TV show and this interpretation, but he really does have a good voice. And I would love to see him voice more serious interpretations of the character.
I know because I watched it happen. I know because I am the son of the man you murdered. I am Bruce Wayne.
All right, next up at number 6, we have Roger Craig Smith, who is famous for his role as Sonic and Mirage in Apex Legends, but he also voiced Batman in Arkham Origins. Now, when Rocksteady Studios was making Arkham Knight, they kind of wanted to put out a filler game to fill the time between city and night. So they handed off the rights to the game franchise to WB Montreal, and they started developing Arkham Origins. Obviously, they couldn't really get Kevin Conroy to play Batman in that game, so they went with Roger Craig Smith instead. They also wanted, to portray a younger Batman. Now, I would be super intimidated if I was a voice actor and I had to temporarily replace the great Kevin Conroy as Batman, but damn, Roger Craig Smith did an incredible job, and he definitely has earned his spot on the Batman Voice Actor Hall of Fame. Now, when we get interpretations of Batman, we usually get to see him being pretty quiet, reserved. He always thinks things out. He stays relatively calm, but no. Roger Craig Smith's Batman is young, brash, just angry all the time, and super impulsive, and that's really nice to see. I feel like Roger Craig Smith would be an excellent choice to voice Absolute Batman if they were ever to make an animated movie or show about that. That would be awesome. I feel like Roger Craig Smith is definitely one of the scariest Batmen on this list.
When the mugger or the thief stops to think twice, that is fear. That is what I am. That is why they hired assassins, because I am the reason the criminals breathe easier when the sun rises. So no, Alfred, I am not in over my head. Tonight will not be my end, but it will be theirs.
All right, next up at number 5, we have Jeremy Sisto, who voiced Batman in Justice League: The New Frontier. Now, there's a huge contrast between this pick and the last one. While Roger Craig Smith's Batman is just really angry, impulsive, and just in your face, Jeremy Sisto plays Batman as more a cool, calm detective, and it's a really nice vibe. It definitely fits well into the 40s aesthetic of the New Frontier movie, well, and the book. I just really like this Batman voice actor. He does such a good job.
Make no mistake, though. I have a $70,000 sliver of radioactive meteor to stop the one from Metropolis. With you, all I need is a penny for a book of matches.
All right, next up at number 4, we have my GOAT, Rino Romano, who is probably a little more famous for his role as Spider-Man in the PS1 games and Spider-Man Unlimited, but he also voiced Batman in The Batman 2004 show. What a great underrated series, and what a great underrated Batman voice actor. Like, he's just so good. Now, does he have the lowest and gruffest and, meanest sounding Batman voice? No. But he just sounds cool, Like, I don't really know how to describe why I like his Batman voice so much. I just do. So I'm just gonna leave it at that.
I'm the Batman, and you're dust.
All right, cracking the top 3, we have Jason O'Mara, who played Batman for the entirety of the DC AMU. He is one of the best Batman voice actors, and he definitely has one of the most convincing, natural Batman voices. He just sounds so intimidating and dark, and it's just so good. This guy probably has the most scary, neutral Batman voice. Like, he doesn't have to be shouting or, anything like that to be scary. He just is.
You and the court try to take control of my city and destroy my home. But worst of all, you messed with my kid, so this is gonna hurt, and I'm gonna enjoy it.
All right, next up at number 2, we have Bruce Greenwood, who voiced Batman in Young Justice and the Under the Red Hood animated movie. Now, when I'm reading comics, I usually alternate between Bruce Greenwood and Kevin Conroy for which voice I hear in my head when Batman's talking. He just does such a good job. He has the best range, in my opinion, when it comes to portraying the character. He's just the GOAT, But honestly, I don't think I've really heard this guy do anything else with Batman, and he should have. He should have been one of the default voice actors that they go to when they're making a Batman project. project. Like, he's that good. I really wish that they would use him more. Still, to this day, they're not calling this guy up being like, hey, you dropped that absolute bomb of a performance in Under the Red Hood. Can you please come play Batman again? No, of course not.
No! God almighty, no. It'd be too damned easy. All I've ever wanted to do is kill him. A day doesn't go by when I don't think about subjecting him to every horrendous torture he's dealt out to others, and then end him. But if I do that, if I allow myself to go down into that place, I'll never come back.
And at number 1, obviously, we have Kevin Conroy. Rest in peace to the GOAT. He's just the best Batman. He is Batman, okay? Whenever I'm reading Batman comics, it's either Bruce Greenwood or this guy that I hear in my head. And like, there's a good reason for that. He was a huge part of my childhood. He just is Batman, you know? And I feel like his voice changed quite a bit over the course of his career. Like, I wasn't a huge fan of how he was voicing Batman in Arkham Knight, but I think that's just because he was getting a little old. It happens, but you know, in BTAS, he really had that nice youthful sound for Batman, and he was one of the first actors to differentiate between Bruce Wayne and Batman. They had 2 different voices, and he was able to switch between them on the fly, and it was really just amazing.
Appreciate the help, Doc. I'll return the favor next time you're raising funds. Bye-bye.
This computer checked that fiber against every animal species known to man.
And I feel like he peaked during JLU. Like, his Batman performance during that era of, you know, DC content was just, it was so good. He's Batman. You know, I really feel like there's no argument here. If you disagree, that's fine, but just know that, like, the other 90% of the world is against you on this. And I always see interviews of Kevin Conroy popping up on my feed every once in a while, and I'm always just astounded by the passion that this man had for the character. He definitely cared the most out of anyone on this list, you know, and that is why I consider this guy to just, he is Batman. He has earned that title. No one else can really have it to the full extent that, you know, an actor can embody their character. No one's gonna do it like Kevin Conroy did. And yes, I know I'm glazing, but this time it is 100,000% deserved.
I care, Joker. About Gotham. About justice. And if it has to end, at least I go out like this, being Batman.
Alright guys, that's going to be it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it all, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like and subscribe button, and drop in the comments down below your favorite Batman voice actor, besides Kevin Conroy. Obviously, he's the winner, so let's talk about it. But yeah, until next time, I'll see you guys later.